Could also see if they want to just trade Ezreal for Kai'Sa, something the Flash Wolves did yesterday. Now the problem is, of course, Kai'Sa can still lose the laning phase if it is against an Ezreal, but it is an option if you want to build a very strong late game teamfight comp for Kingzone.
And of course, Kingzone, since they chose red, are still putting a very high value on the counter pick. Ezreal is going to be taken away this time, though.
Thus far, 100% the same until Varus lock in. So that is a significant change away. And then, of course, the Irelia hopper and confirmation.
I've been screaming for Varus all tournament long. Some teams decided to play it early on in the group stage, but then it just disappeared completely. But this is because Kingzone want to win bot lane. They're going to play around the Varus ulti at level 6 and try and see if they can shut down Uzi with it.
Exactly. Varus is such a good laner. He can build into Rageblade early. He brings crowd control from the bottom lane, allowing your solo laners to be those DPS users. And Irelia, as you said before, was locked in. So the instant answer here from RNG, ready to run it back.
There is sadly some issues for Varus. One of them is a lack of mobility. On the other side, there's an Ornn again and a Skarner, so it's going to be tough for Prey to move around.
Wow, that's why he's picking the Summoner spell Tahm Kench. Is going to be confirmed in Phase 1. For the 9th time in 16 games, Let Me will play Ornn once more. We're now jumping into Phase 2, and we're turning our attention to what mid laner Xiaohu wants to run.
It's interesting because, yeah, they want to have the Devourer for later for Varus to save him, but that means you're going to have Tahm Kench in lane as well, and RNG could very well go for another range support matchup. That's why Kingzone are starting to ban them out.
Yeah, and another smart thing about the Janna ban is if you're going to draft another split pusher for Khan, you end up having a lot of bruisers, and Janna can again disengage when the fight starts and they dash into her. If you remove her here, it might be easier for you to reach Uzi in the back line, but there should be other supports available for Ming to grab.
Yep, definitely still multiple ones. Karma, as you said, banned. Morgana is an option for them as well. Black Shield would definitely make it a little bit more mobile.
Could also see Lulu if they want to go all in on sticking to range supports on their side. Otherwise, you can just go Braum. Like, no one is going to kill you for that.
Well, we'll find out if anyone's going to try. Of course, with that Varus TK, there is some possibilities. The final bans, Sion from Kingzone Dragon X, as well as Olaf and Trundle. Peanuts, of course, in the last game ran that Sejuani. Mixed success, never got really a chance to shine. And our Kingzone likely going to lock in the jungler here once more.
Yeah, let's see if he goes for the same thing. It looks like, again, it's going to be Irelia, Sejuani, plus another melee bruiser up in the top lane for Khan. Sion here was the answer from Xiaohu against Irelia, but he got solo killed on it. It was just a more engaged. Malzahar is there if he wants to grab it. I think it is a fine choice for him, except Tahm Kench ult can be very annoying as a Malzahar.
Yeah,
sorry, Devour.
Then you start to get into a scenario where you want to use your Devour on so many different hard CC abilities, so many different priorities that you get kind of confused. You only have one, and you're only going to be able to save one person. So it looks like RNG, pretty quick lock in there on that Morgana, are going to get the Black Shield and the possibility of those bindings from the bottom lane. Now, often what happens in the Tahm Kench lane is a lot of the deaths that you would see from, ganks and stuff on the bottom lane transfer from the AD carry to the Tahm Kench because your opponents are just going to focus well, Catfish. Everyone likes calling him a frog, and I was about to call him a frog.
Good recovery.
But you always have a couple of people that are sticklers.
Yeah, there are quite a few, and they definitely like to yell. And Xiaohu's going to go back to sort of a comfort pick in that Galio. Some supportive can go top, bottom. It's another double tank comp on the side of RNG.
Yeah, it's another comp where protecting Uzi is going to be the big objective for them. Meanwhile, on Kingzone's side, we need to see if Khan wants to just grab the Cho'Gath, which he used yesterday very effectively, or if he goes for a different kind of split push. No, it is just a tank top lane. So a lot of big tanks in the front lines, but Kingzone's draft, if you consider the fact that it's an Irelia mid lane, that's going to be pretty tough to execute.
I think this is a good improvement for Kingzone. Cho'Gath has been the best tank for Khan. Because of the big true damage feast, he's still able to threaten the priority targets. He does it very well. His laning phase has also been the best for his tanks on the Cho'Gath, so I think he's comfortable on this one, even though, like you're saying, you're thinking there was going to be more one of those mobile melee damage threats.
I want to put some numbers to that. 3 wins, 0 losses on the Cho'Gath, and yesterday Khan on Cho'Gath out-damaged Prey on Ezreal in a professional MSI semi-final game. I think he's mobile enough when the target is flash-eatable, in which case Betty was yesterday.
It is very true, but this is an Ezreal with a Black Shield.
And it's Uzi's Ezreal.
And it's Uzi's Ezreal, gonna be hard to lock down. I'm just looking at the Kingston draft and the Varus first rotation. That's a very big change for them, also compared to the tournament meta. And now they're still facing a double range setup with the Morgana here. If this Varus gets shot down early game and falls behind, I think this composition of Kingston runs out of damage.
We're going to find out. One benefit, of course, on the Varus, the new Blighted Quiver, percentage HP. I casted European Masters a little while back, and they even built him AP to exemplify the burst damage. I only bring that up because there's a lot of tanks, there's a lot of HP to burn through on the side of RNG, so if we get long team fights, maybe a Varus down those Quiver stacks can do some work. Come down to execution once again and positioning, whether or not Gorilla can keep his AD carry alive. Gentlemen, we're loading up onto the Rift. Peanut, I want to look at him again. The Sejuani didn't excite me. I was hoping to see a little bit more. Do you think the pivots now with the tank in the top lane will help or hinder the Sejuani pick a little more?
I think it's a very similar setup for them. Khan is definitely confident on this Cho'Gath as far as the lane phase, and you still can go for kills on these tanks very easily. You know, Sejuani up to the top side, they have a lot of abilities they could use to find that kill, but bottom side is actually where the action is.
Yes, indeed. Uzi and Ming going to get caught out. That's a flash already from Ming. Uzi forced to throw his down. Windsor Ball comes out, 3 flashes from Kingzone. They're looking for first blood, and it's found by Prey.
It's such a smart level 1 by sending Khan down to the bot lane brush. He sneaks in behind in case someone from RNG are in the river. Uzi had to just flash the first knock-up from Khan to actually get away, but the moment he got hit, he was going to die. Look here, they sneak down, they're not spotted, and the objective is to then walk in behind Uzi and Ming in case they're going into ward around the blue buff or check in this river area. And it's 100% successful because Uzi does not get to flash instantly.
Yeah, a lot of the times you can use the early Skarner Spires as a little bit of bait there too if the teams are going to just run into the river and look for them. As you said, doesn't flash the Rupture, and the slow costs him his life.
And we always have to look at summoner spells used on the other side as well. 3 flashes and Ignite for a first blood. Big thing for Kingston was it was on to Prey, but Uzi's back here because it was so early. There's not going to be a massive difference between them.
Well, Prey spent the money already, got himself a pair of boots. They're going to help dodging those bindings. Playing a little bit more mobile in this lane. Uzi got himself those minion dematerializers to help keep that wave pushed and keep that forward percentage up that we talked about in the previous game. And now we settle into this laning phase. Those summoners bulking down. It is a potential opportunity if the lanes play a little too far forward, a little too eager.
Yeah, we talked about the top lane a little bit, trying to set it up there, and that's where both the junglers are going to end their routes. So it's definitely possible if they want to punish Khan's lack of flash here on the Cho'Gath. You have no mobility, can't really get out yourself, and it looks like Karsa is here first.
Oh man, level 3 on Karsa. He's got that fracture available. Like Crystal Slashes, this should just be a matter of time. Khan gets run down. Who will pick up the
Venom times out.
It's now going to be, in fact, on Karsa. Let me backs away. And the last hit will go to Karsa. Reply kill RNG.
And that's the problem when you use the flashes level 1, but this was too easy for Karsa. There was no early vision being placed for Khan, and then he just gets ganked.
Could he teleport back in and have Peanut punished though?
Oh,
Peanut
maybe.
Now on the Sejuani, double buffs is ready.
Okay, teleport's going to complete for Khan. There's a gigantic minion wave in front, and Peanut thinking about it, fancying his chances.
Too many minions. Too many minions. Karsa is level 4 as well. Xiao and BDD trading in mid. We're going to see a lot of these trades here. BDD, once again, should not be able to die in this lane, but once he gets that Sheen, once he gets the ulti, we've seen him all in and actually secure first single kills.
Yeah, I noticed that BDD has taken Cleanse this time around for his Summoner spell instead of the extra teleport for them, so he can get out of those taunts and be able to finish up one of the kills.
Small CS advantage for BDD. A couple of minions to clear out. It'll work out about the same for now. As it stands, laning phase will just continue to play itself out. Peanut already shown his face in the top lane, clearing out his jungle. No real threats just yet. And we've got ourselves an Infernal Drake as the first one once again, making that objective even spicier here in the finals.
Yeah, even though we have an Infernal Drake on the bottom half though, there's so many juicy targets up in the top triangle with all the flashes bone and all these 4 melee matchups in the top and mid lanes that you would expect there to be even more jungle action.
This is a very slow gang. Karsa is still sitting in the first top lane brush. Khan is going to push the lane.
And look, bottom lane, gentlemen. Peanut waltzed his way into lane. Uzi and Ming were very low. They've backed out. So plays and counter plays, because even Xiao Hu, he had roamed towards the top lane too.
Talked about this earlier with the Varus pick, but Kasa is still here. Khan trying not to step forward. Kasa, we don't get to see if he's fully recalled just yet. He might still just be there. Could have canceled it and waited.
We're playing on King Zone Vision for now. Of course, as we flick to full vision, the channel will complete. Yes, it does. Khan survives for now.
But this actually meant that, as you highlighted before, with Peanut going bot lane, Frey and Gorilla got to push a little bit. And when you early pick this Varus, as we highlighted before, you need to do well in the early game. You need to rush to that Rage Blade as fast as possible. And that's going to be a big thing for Kingzone if they can avoid giving up a first turret like last game.
Definitely true. The Rage Blade and the level 6 coming in, that's where Kingzone might decide to change their tactics.
A little while away from that for now. Prey shoving that wave forward pretty heavily, in fact, into Uzi and Ming. The fact that they got a little all-in a moment or two ago with Peanut showing face makes Uzi and Ming just think about their options. Uzi's down to 3 of those dematerializer stats, and Kingzone, they've already farmed themselves up 500 gold lead, which is fairly impressive when you consider how early the game is. And they, of course, got that first blood bonus too.
Yeah, they got the push top lane right now. They've been controlling mid with BDD on this Irelia. Xiao Hu knows that his job is to go with his teammates and make a play happen and not try and 1v1 the mid lane champion. So you get to see RNG just play fairly passive until Kasa decides to go to a lane. Bot lane is still going to be an option for them with double range.
Yeah, every time BDD clears that wave, you can see him just threatening to either side of the mid lane. So the vision and the warding around that Galio are going to be very important because of the range of his ultimate. Okay,
this time around for Kingzone, they don't have that clear 1-3-1 composition like we saw from game 1 in the series. Obviously with a tank in the top, let's see whether or not Kasa goes for any opportunities. What are Kingzone going to be looking to play towards as this game plays out? They've got that more traditional front line, back line in terms of Varus being behind it.
I mean, they're still going to have the option to go to all 3 lanes because Cho'Gath is one of the better tanks in 1v1s, and they have the Irelia for BDD, but there is still enough engage from RNG to stop that. So I think Kingzone just said, okay, if they're going to drive so much engage, we need to have a comp that can actually fight them, and that's why they're going for the Cho'Gath top lane gank here.
Let's see, let me flashes to safety. Did not want to get body blocked, but summon a spell down. And what we've seen this game already, when top laners have no flash, they are juicy, juicy targets. Looks like a Gorilla and Prey who are pushing into Uzi and Ming.
Yeah, we have Karsa with Predator and Flash ultimate available on Skarner, sneaking into the bottom.
There's a cleanse for Gorilla. He instantly uses this one and will be able to escape with the flash. Now Karsa trying to put some damage down, but the summoner spell choice for Gorilla saving his life.
Oh, that was very aggressive from Kasa using flash ulti. Gorilla is fairly tanky here. Meanwhile, Peanut is on his way. BDD is moving as well. Remember, there's a Galio ult from RNG's side, but everyone is looking at each other in the bottom lane.
All right, no teleport from Khan. There is one for Let Me. In case the bottom lane party breaks out, as we have seen several times this tournament, especially with players like Uzi and Prey, who you want to enable. There's no fight yet.
Yeah, and remember, the cleanse is good against all these follow-up CCs. Won't be useful against the suppression, but Morgana bindings, the taunts from the Galio, and the rest of the stunts coming in, even from Skarner himself, allowing them to not chain those CCs together and go for the 100%.
And we're just seeing a lot more control from Kingzone's bot lane with the Varus pick here. So good start from them. Tahm Kench as well is probably the best champion for Gorilla because he's so creative with his ultis once we get out of this laning phase, and that's going to be very, very important when you consider the fact that BDD is going to be sitting in that side lane without TP. If a Tahm Kench shows up, that's a 3-man party for Kingzone.
Yeah, probably the next thing I'm looking for is what Kingzone are going to do when the first Galio ultimate actually is used. Because that, RNG have the options to go very aggressive. Ornn ultimate, Skarner, and Galio is a very, very good proactive engage combo. Yet Kingzone, as you mentioned, they have the Tahm Kench, and they're the ones that are going to try and work around that big opening.
You can already feel this game is slightly less tension than game number 1, with that Fiora in the top lane, as well as the Irelia mid. But it has similar tendencies, this fairly slow-ish laning phase, going relatively even. It was when Kingzone in game 1 started to set up the 1-3-1 that they got punished, and Kobe after you just talked about that proactive engage tools from RNG, it was being proactive in game one that allowed RNG to punish, get the lead, and then close out the game.
Yeah, now it will be a little bit harder because Kasa, of course, had the flash used down in the bottom lane and didn't actually secure anything with it. Look at this poke here from Frey, really utilizing Varus, very strong laning phase. And all of Kingzone are looking around the bottom turret here. Big change from the last game.
This is, of course, the opposite of what we were talking about in terms of how these two teams have played around their ADCs. 4-man stack in the bottom lane for now. This is a teleport coming out from RNG. There are, in fact, 3 teleports being channeled towards the bottom. We'll make that 2, as it was Uzi TPing to the lane. Of course, the support from Xiaohu to save the tower.
Yeah, I like how Xiaohu on the Galio takes the more aggressive teleport location right at the turret with 3 members around. And Uzi a little bit farther down the lane onto the minion so he doesn't get jumped on immediately.
And Kingzone, they want to keep doing this, keep pushing in the bottom lane. It's important that BDD moves because otherwise he can't match the ulti from Xiaohu. That's why he's always coming down so early so they can get down the turret, because the faster they get a Rage Blade for prey, the more effective they can use this Varus to move him from turret to turret. Xiaohu might get ganked in the mid lane. Peanut's on his way.
Well, let's see what can happen. Support coming in from Gorilla as well. Xiaohu takes nearly no damage thanks to that W. A very nice suppress with the Gorilla. Grey Health will buy some time. Kill is secured by Castle.
Xiaohu is able to get off his damage reduction there, under turret as well, after shock proccing. He barely takes any damage, and Karsa's there for the punish for RNG. Now that allows him to take control of your favorite dragon, Trevor.
It is my favorite indeed. It just gives a little bit more credence to the team fighting and the scaling, and it'll be not contested at all by Kingzone. So RNG once again get first dragon in the finals.
Yeah, such a big deal because it was Kingzone with the control. Still no flash on Caster's side. They were pushing in bot lane with prey, but they went all in for this Galio and they just didn't have the damage in time. And suddenly, backup is there.
Yep, taunt and the after
Trying again
from Xiaohu definitely allows him to survive. Remember, he didn't have to blow his flash though because of that damage reduction and how tanky he was and how close he was to the turret. So even if they make another pass at mid, he does have that summoner to rely upon. Here's another look at it. Boom. As soon as he sees the ultimate coming out from Peanut, channels it, and he's able to survive very easily. There's the 3rd teleport that this team had. They had kept Letme's in the bag just for this occasion, and Karsa was in the area, so easily able to punish with another one of the ultimates.
Letme with another assist. He manages to maintain his 100% kill participation. Available for both of them, gentlemen, in case you were doubting that. And first item spikes now starting to come in. Rage Blade is secured by Frey. He's got that teleport available to him, jumps back into lane, and will get a lot of damage on this tower.
Yeah, they got pushed mid lane so BDD can move down. They have the TP back from Prey so they can actually start hitting the turret. It's a big moment for Kingzone to get even more pressure. And can they get that first turret? They're really stopping Uzi from getting ahead compared to the last one. Peanut is on his way down. Karsa's here as well. Flash ult is available.
Not going to use it yet. All right, the True Shot Barrage saving some time. Look at Peanut, look at the movements here from BDD. This is a pressure play for the tower. And Karsa's now found Peanut. BDD throws the stun over the wall. This will delay Karsa getting in range. Look at the tower damage, down to 10%. Essence Flux will find a target, but there's no follow-up yet. Kingzone don't want to tower die.
Yeah, and BDD walks halfway down here on the Galio, so they don't actually get a mid-wave push either during that roam from BDD. Or Xiaohu walked down, so they didn't get the push from BDD, and Kingzone aren't really punished yet. They got, what, 5 more autos off on that turret, so very valuable.
They'll keep doing it until they actually get punished by RNG. Eventually, Kingzone will just get the turret unless a big fight breaks out first, which is why Karsa is still around. Letme's TP is on cooldown from that last mid lane fight. Kans will be ready before that, and both teams are looking towards the spot lane turret.
All right, let's see what they can do. As it stands, RNG fending off the pressure, dealing with this Rage Blade Varus user as best they can. CS numbers are as even as they are going to be, and BDD's getting close to Trinity Force, has just picked it up in fact. So it's another one of those spikes, another one of those boosts that gives Kingzone more confidence and capabilities when they pressure.
It adds a tremendous amount of damage here to the combinations that Aurelia can pull off on the bottom side. And with Uzi and Ming constantly under pressure down here, Kingzone will probably keep up the similar strategy.
Uzi's trying to get the push for himself. We still have not seen the big aggressive ulti from Xiaohu, but he's most likely just waiting for a Kingzone tower dive against his own bottom lane, and then using it down to stop it from happening. We know Uzi's mid game is going to be great, and RNG's team fighting comp is fantastic, just like last game.
Well, let's talk about RNG a little bit more. Game 1, I was excited about how they managed the 1-3-1-3, how they, dealt with it. They found an opportunity to engage and punish Kingzone. Maybe Kingzone making some mistakes. What does it make you think when you think about RNG? When we've looked at how they won their semifinal, they fell behind and they won through late game team fighting, etc.
Makes me think you don't get to make that many mistakes, Trevor, before you don't have enough map to work with. Last game it was critical. Peanut went for that invade, he died all by himself, and that was a snowball that started to let RNG gain map control against a team that is supposed to play off of map.
Yeah, it showed us and it showed Kingzone that if you give a bunch of engaged champions to RNG and you try and split the map, they will attack you and they will fight you. So that's why we have to tank instead for Khan. That's why they have more teamfight focus. On Kingzone's side, they're still trying for this bot lane turret.
Back to the bottom.
I think they're going to secure this one. There's not enough members of RNG around. Dark Binding will connect onto Prey. He's instantly devoured. I love the animation actually hovering with him. But Tower First Blood picked up by the Korean representative. 700 gold up. Of course, one tower, and this might unlock some movement. Maybe Prey can be pushed into a different lane and try to accelerate this map play for Kingzone.
Yeah, you always want to keep using Varus, just move him around the lane, because if someone shows up to defend on their own, Varus can just ult them instantly and you can create very easy picks. So the fact that Prey have gotten the first turret is important for Kingzone, but it's not game-changing yet. RNG are even in gold.
Yeah, they're even in gold, and Uzi is getting very close to his Trinity Force on Ezreal. Once you get that, once you get the Muramana transformation, then RNG get to bring him to the fights rather than having him be struggling down here in the bottom side, constantly under threat of this Rageblade Varus.
Yeah, Rageblade Varus can do very well in those extended trades if he's allowed to stand still and shoot. Uzi's going to try his best not to let that happen. Uzi's going to try land those Mystic shots, push him away, get some chip damage before any of those long-standing tank fights can even matter.
That's actually one of the very interesting things about Varus and the amount of damage he can deal, as you highlighted there, especially against tanks. We saw Prey doing Worlds have one of the records for most damage dealt or damage per minute. And that was on Varus. It was an Ardent Center meta, and he was hitting a Maokai for basically every single team fight. But you can't do that if you can actually stand still with the Rageblade, and he's most likely going eye edge as well, so you get a crit towards the late game. It's an expensive build, but of course you spike on one item.
Well, speaking of those builds, those AD carries in the bottom lane, the Dragon is about to come up in 2 seconds. And that might be the site that actually draws them back into another confrontation. Gallia ultimate is ready. Teleport from Let Me is also ready. And these are going to be level 2 ultimates that they bring to the fight this time.
Yeah, and crucially, no Trinity Force yet for Uzi. He's decided to upgrade the Ninja Tabby. And RNG start Dragon when they see the recalls. They are punishing this timing from Kingzone.
Yeah, exactly. They see that, but there is TP and Tamkench ulti available in case Kingzone wants to rush down and fight. Cast is dropping very low.
Vision control and the Skarner Spire allow him to burn it down quickly, but Peanut's here!
Not gonna win the smite fight. Karsa takes it down for now and will be forced to flash over the wall before he escapes with his life, but the objective is secured.
And that was getting close though. Kingzone almost showed up in time. We have to constantly look at Gorilla and this Tamkench and where he's going. He's so aggressive with the ultis. We saw one already. That kind of backfired. Hopefully we're gonna see more though, and these ones will not backfire.
Yeah, that was an abysmal voyage actually last time around for Gorilla towards the mid lane. Cost him his death that he's sporting there. He does now have a Quicksilver in addition to changing his cleanse to exhaust for the team fights though. He's been able to supplement his summoner spells with item build.
So he's going QSS. Prey's actually going for the AP build on Varus with Nash's 2 coming in second. There is a lot of damage coming from it, but it's not the crit build that we otherwise see from Varus players.
Well, we'll see how effective it is, because he needs a lot of time. You need to get multiple stacks. You need to get that W.
Gotta proc it.
You have to hit it. And that's what I want to see. Of course, against Ornn, Skarner, Galio, it does make sense. You just have to dodge everything that Uzi's doing, and that's important and difficult. When Uzi in the previous game, gentlemen, dealt 47% of his team's damage. That was a single damage or single carry threat with a lot of tanks to support it. That's what you'd expect in that type of comp.
Feels good to be a mid-spiking AD carry with a bunch of tanks on your team. Here we go. Speaking of mid lane though, Kingzone, they move up, and merely by threatening on the mid lane, the Predator is popped. and it times out.
Okay, gentlemen, I need you to put some prediction caps on. We have had 20 minutes of flirting with team fights. When will we get our first big team fight?
I mean, it could be so soon here. Both teams will not even go towards a Rift Hell because Baron is spawning soon. Instead, they're just constantly sieging against each other in the mid lane. Like, we're waiting for this one team to say, okay, now it's time. Let's just go for the engage.
If I was this team, I would say it's time when Ezreal completes his Trinity Force. As soon as Uzi is able to get that Trinity Force and get up those damage numbers you're talking about, Trevor, then we have the Ornn Horn. You just blow that sucker, get Skarner to run in, and Galio to jump down.
But then Prey is back. He gets his Nash's Tooth. He goes into the first team fight. He starts proccing some of those Blight stacks, and he's like, well, where's your tank? He died.
We're going to find out who will win that theoretical fight, because the Muramana is about to be upgraded here for Uzi. He's very shortly going to hit 750. Did that very minion wave. I think he's got enough gold to finish off that Trinity Force as well. And Baron has just spawned. So a number of pieces falling into place now for RNG.
Vicio's got some big talk, but a good friend of mine, Captain Flowers, once told me, when Ornn blows the horn, you better run.
Could he find a rhyming word to finish that sentence off? We'll have to ask him to get us one for later.
All right, how about this? When...
No, you've lost it. You've lost
committed
it.
and you
Take a look at this, by the way. Prey teleported back to the mid lane.
Oh, stop
Trying to fend from the siege. He has the Nash's Tooth completed. Uzi has a teleport of his own. We'll be picking up that Trinity Force. And as the arms race continues to scale, we are setting ourselves up for some gigantic mid-game team fight.
When you hear the horn, you run from Ornn. How about that one?
All right, give me a call when we see the team fight. I'm looking at the vision now, and there's not a lot of deep vision from either side. Thank you, observers, for floating over that, as Peanut needs to use that Arctic Assault just to get outside the pit. So get mid-control, take a tower down, push deep vision in, then set up for Baron. We're many, many steps away from that objective.
Oh, yeah, this is going to be fight each other first, and then you can get a Baron after, most likely. Kingzone should be the only one who can maybe rush it down with the Cho'Gath. Another siege around the mid lane. Binding does hit, but Gorilla gets out of it with the QSS. That is now on cooldown in case Castle looks for fight, but his flash is also on cooldown. Both tanks push out, go to their mid lane. No one gets to start a fight yet.
It's unbelievable. Paris has been tearing the roof off Zenith with volume and noise all event long, and it is like a library in here while the fans and viewers are waiting for this inevitable team fight. Whether or not Kingzone is going to go toe-to-toe. Now, Xiaohu will be the recipient of yet another gank. He's going to flash over the Irelia ultimate. Tom Kench will be arriving with the Abyssal Voyage, and thanks to the use of that clock, the stopwatch, or the hourglass rather, has bought enough time. Xiaohu escapes with his life.
Yet again, they try and dive Xiaohu, but he stays alive. That was quite a bit used there from Kingzone. What will a recourse here be from RNG? Trying to push mid lane in answer now, but they're gonna lose this top turret.
Yeah, I think RNG here will end up giving another structure, and we actually see a small fight here.
All right, some damage onto Gorilla. Now remember that QSS was used. He is just blown up with that Trinity Force. Prey escaping with his life, but the Dark Binding falls short. No true shot barrage to take him out. All right, RNG, they still need to take the tower out because Kingzone got top.
And the punish was in the mid lane there. Karsa's able to get the sting onto both of them, 2 for 1, because one's inside the belly of the frog. They get the kill for Uzi. Now they're pushing on the turret, and they're trying to get 2.
What an answer. Karsa sneaks into the enemy jungle and hides their surprising Kingzone's bot lane. And because Gorilla wasted that QSS on a binding earlier, he ends up going down. 2 turrets in the mid lane. What actually looked like a fine play from Kingzone just backfired.
As well as Prey's flash. So 2-for-1 tower trade. Despite the fact that gold is even, Kingzone are now in a defensive position in that mid lane. And they get punished once all the dominoes have fallen. And it was Kingzone that started that sequence of events by trying to dive top.
Now the reward would be another dragon though. 7 seconds, and Kingzone are doing the homework first. Scuttle Crab down, establishing vision.
Such a smart move from Karsa, knowing that this is the way back to defend the turret.
And he goes for the Tom Kench, pulls them both in. I don't believe his gray health was even activated there. Uzi was able to burst him down first, and that's why it was so surprising and quick.
Cloud Drake did drop here. Kingzone managed to pick it up. We're setting up for another fight in this game. Prey no flash. So when that Ornn comes in, Only Gorilla can save him. Otherwise, he will get collapsed on.
Okay, based on what we've seen from these two teams at the mid-season invitational, who is going to outperform in these late-game team fights? We are even in itemization, in gold. Towers are even, despite them being in different places on the map, and this is just going to come down to whoever can win that boxing match.
We often looked at this game and said Kingston early to mid-game, RNG late game. Based on the tournament, we've seen RNG perform better in 5-on-5 team fights. Kingston has actually lost some of the games where they were looking to win and they were ahead, and then they got out team-fought. Here's the TP coming in.
Wow, when you hear the horn, you better run from on. Kingzone are getting crushed. Uzi gets another. The Taunt picks up the kill. 2 more for RNG.
And it starts with losing the flash for Prey. Gorilla went down earlier. Prey walks into the river here, also walks into the jungle, and suddenly RNG just start a fight.
Exactly the fight we laid out for them, and they're going to drive this one home. Inhibitor going to be destroyed.
How much more can RNG take? They've already opened up the base at 25 minutes, and VDD is doing what he can to push in the top lane. Chips away 60-70% of that tower before he backs away, but the game is blown wide open by RNG.
Second game in a row here where Let Me gets his Ornn, and he's landing big ultis on it. It's such a power pick for RNG because they just want to keep forcing these long-range engages. Prey on the Varus. He got his bot lane turret down, but he's not that far ahead of Uzi. And you see here, without a flash, there is nothing he can do. He's stuck also in a very small corridor.
They're all sitting in the bush, and they have no idea they're sitting on a ward until the teleport starts channeling in front of their eyes. At that point, every man for himself, they scramble, but they can't get out.
And for the first time this game, a team has opened up a lead. RNG, 2,000 gold up. Supers in the mid lane. They have vision to set up if they want to go for this Baron. And importantly, 3 item spikes being picked up for the carries. You can see that Archangel Staff for Uzi working towards the Seraphs.
And that Ornn ulti is ready again. Prey's flash is not. RNG have a window now. If they're actually forcing anything, they can kill Prey again so easily. He's now falling behind in items compared to Uzi, despite Kingzone getting that first bot lane turret. So it is a huge moment again for RNG to be more aggressive. They're getting the Baron control. Let Me is pushed in on bottom side, but TP's there. If he goes for it, Prey dies.
Such a difficult situation to be in. Kingzone need to try and find a way to come back. A lot of games this tournament, once a team has got ahead, they've managed to close out. RNG the only ones that really have bucked that trend. And you could argue that's because Fnatic were so poor at closing games out, the weakest of teams, and when they got ahead, they couldn't close. And look at this, RNG, the 4th tower of the game. Now they can set up a Baron. You can see all the pings on the minimap. Very clearly the next objective.
Something else we have learned over this tournament is that Kingzone do not look good playing from behind. After that last team fight, it's gonna have to be a different story for them because so far they have not been able to come back very well.
RNG have now taken control of the jungle. They're forcing all of Kingzone back to defend. Khan is here. Bot lane is slow pushing for RNG, but it's gonna take a while before it's gonna do anything. So it's all a play around this jungle and a fight for vision.
All right, my eyes are on Khan. Yesterday, the game-defining match against Flash Wolves. Khan found Flash Wolves AD carry Betty twice with a Flash Rupture Feast combo. Just sealed the deal and sent them to the finals. Now it'll be much more difficult against a Black Shield Ezreal. However, Khan is the man that is now being jumped on. Slightly defensive posture, RNG backing away inside the jungle. We have a 5-on-5. So are engaging. The Ornn comes down, 3-man knocker. Dash over the wall for BDD. He's looking for Uzi, but take a look at this. Galio's out of the pit. All of RNG running for their lives. That's a massive knocker. Can't get the rupture. First victim of the fight is Xiaohu, and Kingzone are not done yet. They turn their attention back and they're looking for more.
Oh, let's see if Kingzone can get something else here. They're very low. Uzi's also almost dead if they can just get to him.
Oh, keep an eye on him. 400 hit points. BDD's looking for targets to Blade Surge. Not going to be able to find the stun though as Castle's on the front line. The last remaining full HP tank. Khan gets the rupture onto Levy. There's at the back end. There's a 2-for-1. The Ornn manages to pick up a kill before Khan shuts down Levy. Royal never give up. Have lost this fight, and Kingzone appealing for Baron.
Prey and the rest of Kingzone now turning towards the Baron. Warbox heals up Khan, and they've started it up.
Oh, let's see with the TPs here. Xiaohu, it's still on cooldown despite him being alive soon. It's only Ming here to try and defend. Can he snipe Gorilla?
Not gonna find it with the Dark Binding missing. Black Shield will interrupt that Tongue Lash for now. Baron is going so slowly with only Khan and Prey. Xiaohu cannot join this fight. Death
They got
are
it.
too long. Baron secured by the LCK.
That was the most important fight of this game. Kingzone, they started in their own jungle, but there were so many members getting knocked up by the Ornn. The one important guy though who didn't get interrupted was Prey, who just sat there and auto-attacked over the wall.
Exactly. In the AD Carries tournament, Prey stands strong. They needed to look better when playing from behind, and they did just that in their jungle, in this team fight. They've made their adjustments in Champion Select, grabbing the Cho'Gath for that big rupture. Khan was able to utilize it very well and give Prey some space.
Okay, so the first engage here from the Ornn will hit everyone, also Prey, but right after that, Kasa walks in and doesn't actually get onto the Varus. Look at this engage here from Kingzone. It's just all the tanks in the front with BDD trying to deal damage. Massive Ornn ult from Let Me. No one can interrupt it here. And now, it feels like RNG can win this fight, but they can't get back down to Prey. Kasa is not fully committing.
Also, I have to say, BDD on Aurelia. Immaculate use of the Blade Surge resets. He jumps over the wall, baits the Galio ultimate, and instantly Blade Surge is back over. That leaves 3 members of RNG on the wrong side. They can't contribute to the fight, allowing Kingzone to take over. That was just such a cool and intricate little exchange of events.
Yeah, and it leads to the Baron, it leads to the Dragon while we were in the replay. And Kingzone are now in control of the game. They've got their inhibitor back in the middle lane, and they will take their 3rd tower of the game as well.
Now it gets really hard for RNG to find a good flank. They'll have to just use the on ult and a flash engage from Kasa to set something up here. Xiaohu's been unable to really use his ulti very effectively in this game because it's been so slow in the first 20 minutes. And then this big team fight we just saw here went in favor of Kingzone.
Yeah, it's so hard when you are the slow-moving Goliath that is Galio. You just use your ultimate, there's a huge channel time. Trying to chase it around an Aurelia is not going to be effective. They have to focus on Prey. But then you've got Gorilla and Devour to worry about, so it becomes difficult here for RNG. Meanwhile, Kingzone, after winning that fight, they take so much off of the field. Huge Baron power play.
Insane. And look at their win-loss from picking up the first Baron. 8-0 here at MSI. Still a minute to go. And of course, Kingzone, they were in a deficit before that fight broke out. You can see Prey just completes the rapid-fire cannon as well, so he's going to be able to get some of those early shots down and play from behind. Kingzone aren't done yet.
Yeah, that's why that fight was so important. Had they lost, that would have been an RNG Baron and probably the game. 2-0 up suddenly. Kingzone can still try and win this game and make it 1-for-1, and then that sets up what could be one of the best of 5 finals we've ever seen. 2 teams just fighting against each other's left and right, and both teams able to win late game team fights.
Oh, I certainly hope so, Deficio. This meta and this tournament has been so exciting all the way through. Kingzone are on the verge of evening out the series in this best of 5. Now they've got to break open the base first. Baron will time out in 20 seconds, and despite BDD being rooted by the Dark Binding, RNG are doing a decent job at fending off. All right, gets caught in place. Chain of Corruption is spreading. Levy's taking a lot of damage. He's locked in, locked down, and taken out. Here comes the hero's entrance, but it will not save Koss's life. More victims will fall as Xiaohu is taken out by Gorilla. Kingzone, Ace, Royal never give up, and they take down the inhibitor, turning their sights to the Nexus.
Yeah, Kingzone, they're so strong here. The front line just cannot die. They rush straight at RNG, and meanwhile Prey just sits behind them and kills everyone.
Moments after winning the fight in their own jungle, down in gold, Kingzone are going to be able to take the Nexus from RNG.
Kingzone melt through Royal never give up, and even the series 1-1.
And this all started in the jungle with that huge 5-on-5 engage where all of RNG are stuck on the other side of a wall, and BDD dances around.
Big D Daddy able to pull off the big play when they needed it.
And manages to make it count. Every single one of our analysts said that this game was going to go the distance, was going to go to 5 games. And I'm not going to lie, there were moments around the 20 to 25 minute mark where I thought RNG had this. I thought